Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Entitled People. Hope you're all doing wonderful. It's time to check out some more Reddit posts, so be sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and let's jump in. Entitled Karen in the express line at the Walmart. Malicious compliance is attained. For context, the lines were extra long at Walmart today, and they only had half the registers open. They decided to open another express line to get the crowds moving a bit. This Karen with an overflowing cart sees this, and seizes the opportunity and rushes to get in line. Keep in mind, this line is 20 items or less. She has way more. The employee trying to wrangle the crowd and trying to direct shoppers towards express, regular, or self-service tries to get her to the regular line, or the self-serve. She huffed and puffed at him in her Karen way about how she will do as she likes. Not wanting to deal with the fight, he lets it go, while shooting a warning gaze to the express cashier about this joy of a human being. When the Karen gets up to the cash and starts literally dumping her stuff all over the belt, while loudly mumbling about all the incompetent employees, the cashier gently but firmly tells her that she cannot go through this cash with her cart full, that this cash is for 20 items or less. An argument from the Karen ensues. She is here now, so why not cash her out? That the cashier has to check her out, or she could lose her stupid little job, etc. She went on for about 10 long minutes while the line is building up behind her. The cashier is as cool as a cucumber throughout, but doesn't budge that Karen could not go through this line with that many items, that she was welcome to join one of the other non-express lines, that the express line is just that, to let people with a few items go quicker to ease the rest of the lines. Karen continues to argue, now asking in an aggressive manner, why they can't send the rest of the people in line to another cashier, so this one could help Karen with her 100 items, reasoning that it would be quicker. A manager who was watching all this go down does just that, jumps on the next open register and tells the people in line that she can assist them. Manager shoots the cashier a knowing look. Karen is looking smug and superior at this point, thinking she has won. Wrong. As soon as the manager opens the other register, the cashier tells the Karen, "Sorry, I'm on break. This till is closed. Please feel free to join one of the non-express lines." Karen yells at the manager to make the cashier cash her out. The manager says no, she is on break. Please feel free to join one of the non-express lines. Karen is getting pissed at this point. She quickly shovels her stuff back in her cart and tries to shove to the front in the new express line. The manager is still as cool and says, "This line is for 20 items and less. I will be unable to assist you. Please feel free to join any non-express line." Karen is absolutely enraged at this point and storms out of the store, leaving her cart behind, and screaming about how she will never shop here again, and that she will have both of their jobs, etc. The best part? In her rage, she forgot her purse in the cart and had to come back for it. The manager was only one of two on duty, and she was still helping to check out the line. The purse was at the cash. The manager made Karen wait in line to get her purse. Karen didn't say a word. I'm glad they didn't tolerate this at all. Some people would have just been like, okay, let's just do what she wants and get her out of here. But nope, not these guys. Especially with all the other customers around, it would have been bad business practice to actually listen to her demands. Because to everyone else, it would have come across as like, well, if she gets special treatment just for making a scene and complaining, then why don't we? So not only was it some good malicious compliance, but it was also a pretty professional way to handle it. It's community property. Not me, thankfully, but a good friend. He had come into some money, so after setting aside a college fund for his kids, he's divorced. He decided to buy himself a new toy, in the form of a new Tesla SUV. Now, even though there's charging stations popping up everywhere, he decided to install a charging station in his garage, so he wouldn't have to be going all over the place. Got the station installed, got his car, and life went on. Enter one of his neighbors, whom we'll call, I don't know, Karen? Karen and her hubby had an older model Tesla, and like most people, used the public chargers for their car. One day my friend came home to find Karen angrily trying to open his garage door. When he somewhat politely asked what the hell she was doing, she told him she needed to use the public charging station for her car, and that he was illegally blocking her access by keeping his garage door locked. When he told her that the charger was his personal one, she angrily rebuked him by saying that all Tesla chargers were public property and that he was breaking the law by blocking his. I actually checked on this, and a home Tesla charging station only costs a few grand. He politely told her to F off, put his car in the garage, and close the door. A little while later, there was a knock on the door, and he opened it, to find a cop with a smug-looking Karen standing behind him. The cop explained that he was responding to a quote, blocking access to public property complaint. It took him a second, but then he took the cop, who seemed embarrassed to be there, to his garage, showed him his car and the charger, showed him the invoice for the charging station. The cop nodded, went outside, and had a conversation with Karen, who screeched something unintelligible. End of story, right? Well, one day, my friend comes home to find his garage door half bashed in, to the point he can't open the damn thing. He then does what any normal person would. He looked at the security feed for the cameras he had for his house, and there, in HD, was Karen psychotically hammering at his garage door with a small sledge. He calls the cops, and Karen is hauled out of her home and is facing charges of attempted breaking and entering and damaging private property. Oh, and my friend is suing her for damages to his home, just to plug in her damn car. This comment here sums up my thoughts exactly. Too bad she didn't spend the money on her own, quote, public charging station, since it will likely cost less than her legal fees. Entitled mother demands nurse make me cover my tattoo that's scaring her sleeping child. I'm in the ER waiting room, and an entitled mother comes in with her deathly ill child that's fast asleep in her arms. I'm wearing a tank top and have a Spirited Away themed piece on my upper arm. This picture here is OP's actual tattoo, by the way. I've been here for 2 hours already. Entitled mother keeps looking my way, huffing, dramatic sighs, and dirty looks. I have no interest in engaging, so I continue to ignore her. Finally, she stops a nurse and says, "You need to tell that person to cover that awful offensive tattoo." Nurse gives a blank stare. Entitled mother continues, "It's scaring my child. He's traumatized." Nurse looks at me. I meet her gaze out of the corner of my eye. She looks down at the entitled mother and tells her to wait outside or in her car if she had a problem. Entitled mother keeps saying how traumatized her child is. She's woken him up now from her yelling. She tells security that I need to move or cover up my horrific arm, or she's going to call the cops for indecent exposure. At this point, everyone is fed up. Security tells her to quiet down and take a seat or leave. Final warning. At this point, I'm laughing. Long story short, she tried to call the cops. An officer was already here. He poked his head in to look at me, then walked back out, said something to her, and she left screaming bloody murder about indecent exposure to my poor child. I'm currently still in the waiting room. You know, with people like this, I really do wonder what kind of psychological stuff is going on in their heads. I mean, obviously the tattoo is fine, and it's even a tattoo of a family-friendly anime. The entitled mother definitely sounds like one of those types of people that has some kind of authority complex, or the obsessive desire to just control everything and everyone around her. I'm sure we've all met someone like this at one point. Trespasser demands I replace his car. Okay, so I'm going to preface this post by saying that the entrance to my property is a standard driveway through roughly 20 meters of wooded area. Before the driveway opens up to about the same size as a standard American 2-lane roadway. My home sits about 500 meters back off of the road, and I've sculpted my driveway as well as a pass in front of my home and a lot of my backyard into a drift track. We have 2 giant no trespassing signs at the road facing the side of the woods, as well as a speed limit 15 sign, 10 meters beyond the woods, mainly to remind my friends to not be dickheads on their way in when the track isn't hot. Everything is above board with the county, my homeowner's insurance, and local PD. Now, with that out of the way, I went to the port today to pick up a much-awaited 1997 Nissan Stagea we are building for my mate. As the mate and I are pulling down the drive in the truck, pulling the trailer with the car on it, my mate yells, "What in the hell is that?" and points off to the corner of the paved part of my property where I have a medium-sized shed, which I keep landscaping things like a tractor, golf cart, etc. in. I look over to see the nose of a 2016-2017 Mustang stick out of a now-collapsed shed, and a guy laying on the pavement next to it. We immediately drove straight over with haste. As we pull up, our entitled person sits up from its prone position and starts yelling about suing me, calling me an a-hole, and a bunch of other names. I yelled as loud as I could, "Hey," then said, "Who the F are you and what are you doing on my property? Why is your car in my shed?" To which entitled person responds, "I'm going to sue you as your racetrack isn't safe and you owe me a new car." By this point, my mate is already on the phone with 911 and has hopped back into the truck. I explained to entitled person that he's trespassing and in fact owes me a shed, and probably a few other things including a tractor. Entitled person starts to limp towards me, screaming that he's going to own my property, and I won't have a pot to piss in when he's done with me. I decide to just get back into the truck and wait on police. Roughly 15 minutes later, 2 police cars come screaming down my drive with their lights and sirens on, and see entitled person beating on the window of my truck with his hands. PD immediately handcuff him, and then my mate and I step out of the truck. Entitled person told police that he has been driving past my property all summer and hearing engines and tire squelching from the roadway, and finally decided that he was going to run a few laps today. That he saw the no trespassing signs, but didn't think they were for him. Who else would they be there for though? Entitled person was arrested on malicious destruction of property. A tow company in town came and impounded his vehicle, and I was finally able to see that the entire shed and everything in it is a total loss. Entitled person did leave in an ambulance, though he should be fine. Insurance is going to have a field day with this one. I'd just like to add that that particular shed sits 25 feet off of the paved surface. I really hope next year doesn't have as many stressful events as this one. I'm starting by adding a gate with the code to enter the property this week. Yes, I'm a childcare specialist. No, I will not stop partying. Okay, let's go. This happened yesterday on the bus to a pub with myself and 4 of my friends. We are LGBTQ+ and Gothic, so I want you to imagine what we looked like, not on the job. I am a childcare professional and work in a nursery near my home. I work in the preschool, ages 3 to 5, and am very well received in my field. Other nurseries often request my help with observations, room design, parental-related issues, etc. So I am often spotted in nurseries that are not mine, and often make conversations with parents I would never usually cross. There's my backstory. Now on to the story. My friends and I are on our way to a local pub on the bus, on a Saturday evening. We aren't incredibly loud, but it's an empty bus, and we're jolly. When a mother and young boy come onto the bus, I recognize her, although no idea where from. I try to keep my head down because I also don't want to interact with any work responsibilities. She sits down away from me, and I sigh thankfully. I go back to our conversation and forget about it. I want to stress we are 10 minutes from being in the clear. The mother stands up and walks towards us. I notice instantly and nudge my friends to quiet down. Hello, aren't you OP from my nursery? Yeah, that's me. I'm sorry, I recognize you, but I can't place you. Which nursery do you go to? Other nearby nursery. Ah, lovely. And he's in the preschool, right? Lovely place. Yeah, it is. You look a bit different from work. I almost didn't recognize you, she said, and her face scrunched up like actually putting her nose in the air. Ah, yeah, well, I am often in a uniform and no makeup, so this is what I usually look like, I guess. The group were silent. She was silent. I was silent. It was so awkward for like 2 minutes. My friend to my left cleared his throat and said, "Is there anything else?" Are you drinking? Yes. Haven't you got work? No, there is no nursery on the weekends, I said. Well, aren't you on the clock for babysitting? I do babysit often, however, parents have to book in advance, and I am free this weekend. Well, what if there is an emergency? I think parents have family members that could help. Like I said, they have to book in advance. Aren't you in work on Monday? I am, but I won't drink tomorrow. I'll just recover. Don't you think that's irresponsible? Also, what if some parents see you drunk? That's unprofessional. It would be unprofessional if I was working, but I'm not working. I have the weekend off. And what if you see one of your kids out? They're not my responsibility outside of work. Of course, I will always be delightful and kind, but they are not my responsibility. But don't you think it's unprofessional? My friend started laughing at this point, purely because she just didn't seem to grasp the fact I wasn't working. No, I don't. I believe I am allowed to go out and spend my free time as I choose, much like everyone else. Right. And you think dressing like that is appropriate? Yes, because I'll be going to a club after the pub. It's been lovely seeing you, but this is our stop, so I'll have to say goodbye, I said. It was not my stop. My stop was the next stop, but my friends had been drinking, and I do not trust them. We all got off and had a few minutes of walking, but none of us could stop talking about the interaction. My friend walked into the pub and scooped the floor, making sure no parents with kids were there. Okay, floor is clear. OP can enter, she said. And I laughed as I walked to the table. Nothing exciting, just a pure lunatic. Lunatic indeed. It's as if just because she knows this person in a professional setting, surely OP is just some kind of robot and definitely not a human with their own life outside of work. Oh, you have a job? Well, better not drink ever, because that's just unprofessional. Anyway, friends, I hope you guys enjoyed. Drop a like if you did, and subscribe for more. I'm hoping to get to 40k subs, so if you already watch this channel but you're not subscribed yet, be sure to do so. That'd be super awesome. Anyway, take care, have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next time.